Located on奄美Island in the Ryukyu archipelago off Japan's southern coast is a small beach hamlet of Katoku. This wonder of nature is under threat. Katoku is one of the last unconcreted beaches in Amami, and one of very few left in Japan itself. Plans are in place to develop a 6.5 meter high concrete seawall that will envelop most of the beach and the river mouth. But a small group of people dedicated to the preservation of Katoku stand in the government's way. One of the more vocal members of this group is John Takaki, the founder of the Amami Nature Conservation Group.
Yeah, I was living in Paris in 2009, and I wanted to go back to Japan at that point, but I wanted to go into a place that was still beautiful, where nature wasn't completely destroyed. And I was looking for islands, not necessarily in Japan. I was looking at Tahiti, Guadeloupe, a bunch of French islands also. But because my parents were getting old, especially my dad, I thought I should not go too far. And I realized, well, Japan has a lot of islands, probably some beautiful ones. And so I was searching with Google Earth, and I found Amami. I didn't know anything about Amami. I thought it was just a satellite island of Okinawa, like Iriomote or, those kind of islands. And I thought it was a tiny island, but I realized it was a huge island. And compared to all the other islands, it was very, very green. You find this kind of place, in Sumatra, for example, but not in Japan, completely isolated village, far from any road. Far from any city, and with a natural river mouth, a natural beach, with no seawall, no embankment around the river. And when I look at that, I thought, that was, like going back in time, something that doesn't exist in Japan anymore. So at that point, I thought I have to go see this place. The first time I came here anyway in 2010, it was the rainy season. It was around April, and it was kind of raining a lot. So what really amazed me about this place is even during heavy rainfalls, the river was always very clear. So clear you almost want to drink it. It felt so good. The first time I came here, I body surfed. I didn't have a surfboard, so I body surfed. And I just loved this place from the beginning. I called it, I was standing on the beach and I said, this is Jurassic Park. With the valley, very deep valley over there. And the sound also of, there was so much sound of birds and insects when I came here the first time. And also, when I was, I've been coming to, I grew up in France, but I've been coming to Japan every year, every summer, for 3 months a year. And I used to go to Kumamoto, and from Kumamoto, my grandfather used to take me to Amakusa, the islands of Amakusa. And there used to be some beach that I really loved when I was a kid, also in Karatsu near Fukuoka. But they all disappeared, all concreted. And there's one that I even saw getting concreted. And that was very, very shocking. The first time I saw that. And I realized little by little that no place was safe. When I came back in 2015, Mr. Kawasaki, he told me that there was a project to create a giant seawall around this beach. And I was completely shocked when I heard that. So I went to the first village meeting, official village meeting, where the Kagoshima prefecture official came to explain, why they were going to build a seawall and what kind of seawall. And there was no discussion. There was no discussion about other options. Is there any other options than a seawall? Nope, nothing. And does it have to be this big? 6 meter, 530 meters. But no, there was no answer to those questions that were raised during the meeting. And from that point, we started. Of course, I was really against this project. I couldn't let that happen. It was insanity for me. Unbelievable. Like, how could they do this to a place that so many people have been? I mean, it's the last place in all of Amami without a seawall, and one of the last 3 beach village with no seawall in Japan. Yeah, so, well, if they build a seawall, well, first of all, the seawall is going to be below the dune, 10 meters in front of the dune. So already the beach will shrink by 10 meters. But when you consider that a seawall actually shrink the beach even more, because the sand in front of seawall start to disappear, and then the ocean fills in the empty space and hit the seawall. There's a good chance this is what's going to happen. Maybe not for the entire length. Some parts might have more sand, but other parts might lose their sand completely. And if that happens, the next step will be to put tetrapods in front of the seawall, and most likely also tetrapods or big concrete blocks offshore. And this is in Amami. Most places are like that. So this place might become completely unrecognizable 10 years from now if they build this wall. And it's also going to become a construction site, a heavy construction site for the next 4 or 5 years, because this is, the amount of time they need to build the wall.
But even in this sleepy town, under threat from those who would seek to profit from the building of the wall, remain a few who will stand against them and fight to save the natural beauty of Katoku. Shinpei Matsumoto is a local surfer here. He has a deep and rich understanding of how the sandbar shifts with the moods of the tides, the river, and the waves, and also how it's affected by the human elements.
嘉徳に住んで10年になりますけど、自分はサーフィンが好きでこの場所に移り住みました。で、10年前に来た頃はまだアダンの林がずっと残っていて、海に行く時はアダンのトンネルを抜けてその先に波があるような感じでした。で、初めてここに来た時に、でこの波を見た時に、うわ、日本にもまだこんな場所が残っているんだっていうのに感動して、ここに移り住みたい、ここで子育てをしたいなと思って移り住みました。で、今日本のビーチはコンクリートがいっぱい入っていて、もうこんな風にコンクリートが全く入っていないビーチっていうのは本当に残ってなくて貴重だなというふうに思ってます。向こうに嘉徳川の河口があって、今はまっすぐ抜けてるんですけども、冬になると海の中の砂が戻ってきて河口に蓋をして、嘉徳の川がこう横切っていくんですね。で、たまに今は河口が向こうですけども、河口が横切ってここに来たり、たまには向こうに行ったりする時があります。その時はもう浜の真ん中をこう川がずっと横切って向こうに行って、であそこに砂を流して、あそこにサンドバーを作ったり、でここに砂を運んでここにサンドバーができたり、で今はあそこが河口がまっすぐ抜けてるから、あそこに砂が積もってますよね。でもう、何年か前のある時期にユンボ重機を入れてその河口の砂を取ってわざとまっすぐしようとしていた時期がありました。でそのことによって川はまっすぐ抜けたんですけども、川が横切ることがなくなってしまって、この辺の砂が サンドバーがなくなってしまって、ここがすごい深くなっていた時期があったんですね。でちょうどその時にの台風、大きな台風が来て、波が来て、普段サンドバーがあればそこで波が割れて波のパワーは吸収されるんですけど、その時はサンドバーがなかったから波打ち際で波が割れて、その波が登ってきて浸食が進んで、ここのアダンの森が削られてしまいました。で私が言いたいのは、自分たちはサーフィンをするから、海の中の見えない砂の動きも普段からよく注意して見てるんですね。でやっぱりその海の中にそのサンドバーっていうんですけど、海の中の砂っていうのもすごい重要で、やっぱりそこで浅瀬があるから、やっぱり大きな波が来てもそこで波のパワーを吸収して、この浜が浸食されずに済む。でもやっぱりそうやって工事をしたりして重機を入れてしまうと、人の手を加えてしまうとやっぱ自然のサイクルっていうのが狂って、やっぱりおかしな流れが起きてしまうと思うんですね。でやっぱり普通の人ってのはビーチっていうとやっぱり見えてるビーチしか見ないと思うんですけども、やっぱりその見えない部分の砂っていうのもすごい重要で、やっぱり自然なままが一番いいのかなというふうに思いますね。でやっぱりこのままのビーチをなんとか残していくために、今アダンを植えたりとかいろいろやってるんですけども、そうですね、やっぱりいろんな思い出が残ってるビーチですし、子どもたちともすごい大切な経験、一緒にサーフィンしたり川で遊んだり浜で遊んだりした思い出があるので、やっぱりここにコンクリートの壁はできてほしくないというふうに思いますね。
All things change. All things are in a state of constant flux. Much like the water flowing through the river that leads down the valley to the river mouth at Katoku. The beach itself is constantly changing and shifting, always dynamic. Local family man Kenji Kawasaki understands this. He is looking for a way to create harmony with the nature that was lost, as an alternative to building a wall.
嘉徳のいいところはもう本当に何もない自然なところが素晴らしいと思ってます。浜も海も山も川も本当に綺麗でナチュラルで、昔から何千年もずっとこれが続いてきている、この場所に自分が入れるっていう自然の音を聞いて自然と一つになれるっていうのがとても自分にとって大切な時間であったり、子どもたちもここの場所で育てたんですけど、本当に素敵な子どもと自分と自然だけのそういう大切な時間を過ごすことができて、僕たち家族を育ててくれたような場所ですね。僕たち、自分にとっては、もちろん海も大好きですし、楽しんだりしますけれども、この浜で家族とたくさんの時間を過ごしたので、子供が赤ちゃんができてから学校に入るまでずっとこの場所で過ごして一緒に遊んだりしてきたので、本当に特別な思い入れのある場所ですね。もともとここで子育てをするつもりで嘉徳に移ってきたわけではなくて、この環境が好きで、妻と一緒に 最初は陶芸とかカフェをしたりとか2人でこの場所で、新婚生活を楽しんでたんですけど、子供が生まれてからはなお一層特別な場所になりました。台風が来るまでは全部一面アダンの森でした。でも台風が来て一夜のうちにもうごっそり全部持っていかれて、もう唖然としたんですけど、まず真っ先に思いに浮かんだのがアダンをまた植えないとっていう気持ちがまずはありました。できれば砂が回復してから、砂も循環しているので必ず砂は戻ってくるなと思っていたので、アダンを地道にまた昔の人たちに習ってアダンで砂や風を防ぐ、そういう自然の防波堤をもう一度復活させないといけないなってその時に思いました。なぜかっていうと昔の人たちが植えたのか、それとももともと自然な形でこのアダンの森が出来上がったのか、それは分かりませんけど、やっぱりこれまでずっとこの浜とこの集落のこの境目にこのアダンがあってずっと守ってきてくれてたんですね。それがもう自然の一部になってたので、まずはそれをやるしかないなという思いがあって、4年前に子どもたちと集落の皆さんで初めてアダンの植栽を子ども会で企画してみんなでやったのがこのアダンを復活させるっていうことの始まりなんですけど、やっぱりアダンっていうのが、どこの集落奄美大島のどこの、何もないプライベートビーチでもやっぱりアダンの浜があってアダンがあって、そして山があるっていう、こういうサイクルになってるんですね。そういう自然なものをもう一度、私たちの手で少しでも回復させることがベストじゃないのかなと思って。
Despite all their efforts, there are still those who see a wall as an immediate solution, while the planting of pandanus trees as folly.
あんまり目の前の問題ばかり見るんじゃなくて、将来のもう未来志向的にそういう将来に目を向けて今できることを地道にしていけたらいいかなとは考えてます。他にもたくさんのそういう同じ思いを持ってくれてる人たちが時々来てこうやってアダンを植えてくれたりして、自分一人の力では全然ダメだと思うんですけど、そういう同じ思いを持っている人たちがたくさん増えていけば回復するのもスピードが上がってくるんじゃないかなって少し期待してますね。将来的には、10年20年かかってもいいんですけど、ここをもう一度子どもたちと過ごした浜のようにアダンのトンネルがあって、そこを抜けたら浜があって海があってっていう、そういう風景をもう一度取り戻したいなって。
In general, Japan has always turned to heavy construction in order to solve coastal erosion problems. The evidence is clear, as almost all beach towns are heavily concreted. Perhaps, in the battle against coastal erosion, there are other alternatives. Giovanni Mazzucci, a marine biologist studying at the Ryukyu University, specializes in coastal habitat conservation.
So, my name is Giovanni Mazzucci. I'm a marine biologist, graduated in Italy, came here for a PhD, which I am almost over with. I work at the University of the Ryukyu's James Reimer Lab, and my research focus is nature conservation and particularly coastal habitats conservation. So it's pretty related to the topic we are talking about today. So we tend to think about beaches as fixed environments in space and time, but this is not correct. Beaches are dynamic environments that disappear and then reappear and expand with time across the years and the centuries at different time scales. And so it's totally normal for a beach to shrink and then to re-expand. What happens with coastlines is that they tend to shift depending on several factors. Some can be related to humans. For example, when there is a sediment imbalance at rivers, and some are totally natural. So the problem is that if we fix the coastline with hard structures, the beach is not free to shift backward or forward. And this leads to, in many cases, to beach disappearance. This is called passive erosion and happens when the dune is not free to give back sand to the seaward side of the beach because the ward is in the middle. So the communication between the two areas is interrupted. So the seaward area of the beach gets gradually eroded and shrinks until it's not there anymore, which can be detrimental to those marine creatures that depends on the beach, such as sea turtles, which don't have any dry area to lay eggs anymore. Another problem with hard structures is that they can make the energy of waves stronger. They actually can reflect backward the energy of the waves, which can increase erosion. In this case, we talk about active erosion. Of course, if you think about an airport, we have a very long road that can disperse the kinetic energy of the airplane. We could just use a wall, and that would be the most efficient way to stop an airplane. But that obviously would have bad consequences for the people inside the plane and for the surrounding environment. So a beach is like, a natural beach is like a long road that can gently disperse the energy of waves. If we lose that, then the impacts are much more violent. Well, the space occupied by the wall, even without considering beach laws and erosion, will already have an impact. The placement will be from the base of the dune, which is the preferred areas of sea turtles, for example, to lay their eggs. So they will lose that area, which is the best because it's more repaired from the wave action. Several species, marine species, depend on a healthy natural beach to reproduce or to live or to grow in a safe, protected environment. And sea turtles are one of these particular animals. They are vulnerable to beach loss for several reasons. The most important one is that all sea turtles are intimately connected to the beach where they are born. They will always come back to the same beach, and if that beach disappears, they will not lay the eggs. So every beach is important for the population of sea turtles that was born on that beach. I was invited to Katoku. I had the opportunity to walk over Katoku beach, and during that walk, in a few minutes actually, I could observe several sea turtle nests. And I've been informed that the leatherback turtle also deposed eggs there several years ago. And the maturation time of sea turtles is very slow. It can take decades, depending on the species. Therefore, those turtles will need to come back to Katoku, and if the beach has disappeared, they will never lay eggs anymore in their life, which will lead to the loss of several generations of sea turtles. At least the ones that were born in the last 20 years will never have the opportunity to reproduce if the beach disappears or if there is not enough protection from the waves.
The fight to save Katoku may seem like a distant and faraway problem for many of us. A small problem on a small island. But the effects are far more reaching than that. With an exploding global population and ever-increasing coastal development, finding a solution between saving our properties and saving the oceans may prove to be too fine a line to walk. But for now, there's hope. We can save Katoku and other beaches like it by setting a precedent and telling those in power we will not stand by idle. Even the smallest voice deserves to be heard. Change starts here. Change begins now.